Hi everyone, welcome to the next edition of Dun & Bradstreet CFO Club. We are very privileged to have with us Mr. Mayank Khandelwal, CFO NEC India. Mayank, welcome to Dun & Bradstreet CFO Club.
Yeah, thanks a lot. It's great to be today with you discussing few recent developments and then how things are spanning out as we go through this COVID-19. So very excited to be part of this discussion today.
Sure. Mayank, the first question I'll pose to you is, a little bit, your journey from a chartered accountant to becoming a CFO, because that will be very inspirational from, a lot of young chartered accountants who are, getting into the finance profession.
Yeah, actually that's a very, very good question, right? Sometimes when I think about that, it definitely looks like a good journey, right? So having started, I will say, why don't I link with some of my background, right? So my family is a business family, right? So I've seen from my childhood, right, what is the importance of going granular, understanding numbers well, and then having maybe a strategy and growth execution around that, right? So kind of that's a little bit of the fundamental from where I have grown up. And then definitely as I was going through all of these, CA, which profession definitely looked exciting to me, right? It gives me opportunity to contribute both from accounting and from business side, right? So it's the CA as a profession provides you that ability. And after doing CA, I will say it's all about doing the right role at right time. That's how things have kept happening for me. And the real, I will say, inflection point in my career was when I joined GE in 2010, right? And I think that's why when I feel organization like GE plays a very important role in shaping your career, right? What do you want to do, how you want to grow yourself. So those opportunities I kept getting as I kept progressing in the GE. For example, I started with a very small P&L of $2 million when I started GE. But as I kept growing and organization like GE keeps giving you more and more responsibility, they test you. And as and when you deliver against those challenges, navigation, some of the risk, the way you take, you get ability and chance to grow. So that's what happened. I started with a small P&L, and then the new opportunities kept coming in, and I was always open, right? So there are two ways in which you can handle a particular challenge or opportunity. You can say no, or you can say, see, I will take this, but I also need this thing as a help from you. So I think that's always a discussion. I think what every finance professional, or I will say any professional who wants to go in the career is how good are you to take new opportunities, take risk, and then have a plan around that. So that kept happening. I started with a finance manager, was then given responsibility of P&L CFO role. After that, I became the controller for GE Healthcare South Asia. And after that, I also was put in an accelerator program, which is for experienced finance professional who join GE. And when people feel, the management feel there's a growth potential, so it's called EFLP. It's a world-renowned program. It used to be within GE, and they used to select around 35-40 people worldwide from GE. Okay. So I was put in that program, and together with that, so it's like you are in that program and you also do your job. So it's an on-job, again, like an experienced finance leadership program. I was put in that, got exposure of how things works globally, was able to do projects, a lot of trainings in class, outside class was provided. I also got chance to, again, work with a lot of talents globally, attend some of the very good sessions, whether it's Harvard or Crotonville, which is a great training institute within GE. Right, so that was happening, and then, as I said, I kept taking new and different roles, bigger roles. So after controllership, I was offered the financial planning and analysis FP&A leader in GE, right? So that happened, and then I also graduated for my program, which is EFLP, and then I was asked to go global, right? So kind of just laying down a little bit about my journey, and the thing I wanted to bring about this is just be open for the risk, right? Don't let the opportunity go. Take those and then have a plan in place with a clear vision and focus to what you want to deliver. So I think that's the thing which has helped me as I grew in my career. And then definitely I played some global roles within GE. I was the CFO for one of their division with external 5 billion revenue, the supply chain CFO for that. So got again opportunity to work with different teams across the globe, different factories, understanding how they work, how they function. So So I will say again, it's been a good journey. Some of the basics will still remain same. You need to understand the granular stuff. You need to understand your business well. You need to go and make your hands dirty. Without that, it's very difficult to really understand what's going on operationally, and then you cannot have a link between finance and operations. So I think that will be my advice to the new people who are entering into the profession. Right, you will have multiple choices. First, you'll have to make a choice within a particular stream. What do you want to do in finance? You have got many options, right? So you decide it and then keep going in that direction by taking additional risk. Be clear on your vision, and that's how you progress.
I hear you that I hear that how important G was in your career journey. Yeah. So what do you think the role a corporate plays, while building a career for a finance profession?
Yeah, no, I think it's I think very important question, right? And now when I am in a position, I lead the teams, I'm in a management position, right? I get to understand how important it is, right? If my manager would not have invested me in those days, right, and they would not have given me growth path, opportunity to learn, training, and all those things, right? So I would not have been in that position. So to answer your question, it's very important, right, for personal and professional development to really understand for each individual what's their development need, what's their growth path, provide them the visibility with clear objective that, okay, this is what you need to do, and this is how some of the things which is including training, mentoring, coaching will help you. So organization which has got very robust internal system to promote their people, to provide them growth path, to provide them ability to get trained, coach, mentor, I think you will see a lot of leadership roles coming out of that. Again, example like companies like NEC, where you will see people sticking to 15 years, 20 years, 25-year time frame. That's all because these organizations, these big companies provide that opportunity for people to grow internally and do better jobs. So it's very important in today's scenario, Naina.
Mayank, you have worked in the US. I mean, CG was in US, MNC, you worked in India. And you're also working right now with a Japanese MNC, right? So what is the, how would you say, how different the culture is from these countries? I mean, how has been your experience?
Yeah. So again, working globally, the best thing which you learn is understand how different motivation factor will be for different people across the globe, right? So some of the basics still remain same, Naina, right? Like those people definitely want to be connected. They want to get motivated. They need appreciation. They need inputs on time. But again, the style of working, when you look at from global perspective, every country will have a different way of style, right? So a person, how he gets motivated, what are his driving factors, things which makes him run faster, those will be very different. So being in a global role gives you that perspective, right? Again, as I said, it's all driven by your culture, some of the local setups, correct? So keeping those in mind, it helped me to understand what motivates, how people can be driven, how do you kind of provide him the growth path, the visibility and all those. So I think once you are into global positions and see different parts, different cultures, different countries, you start appreciating that a lot. You create that empathy for the teams, what they do, and also some of your working style changes, right? I mean, again, when I was in India, had a little bit of push kind of attitude where you will get done things with push. There's a little bit of culture in India where they definitely respect your seniors, right? In when you go into global companies, global places, US, Europe, I think it's more about how can you influence those guys? It's not only about push, right? It's the leadership then comes is how do you make them realize their growth path is associated and linked with the organization, and understanding what a true leadership is versus just getting and giving an order. It's all about motivating, influencing. So I think those things you learn a lot, and those becomes very critical.
So since we are in that global company framework, I also wanted to understand, as a finance professional, as a CFO, do you see a different kind of risk taking abilities or risk outlook towards risk changes when you move from country to country?
See, it does, because that's what you also learn, right? How do you start delegating your teams, right? And when you start delegating your teams, they will like to take some of the risk, right? So you will not hold all your decisions, and that's how you develop your team. That's how you make them grow, right? So I see a little bit of difference in the way I think different countries, I will say, and different region approaches it. But it definitely helped me in terms of making my team take more risk, giving them more delegation, and making them accountable and responsible also. So I see it also. I will say it's not mainly India or US. It's more the style of how good leader you are and what's your style. Correct. So you definitely get to absorb that a lot when you're outside India, because people are given a task and you don't have to micromanage them. They do independently. You give them the risk. The atmosphere is like that, right? The atmosphere created in some of these aspects will enable you to take those risks. So I will say yes, but I will also say then it all comes to individual leadership style also, how you want to operate.
Correct. So Mayank, and in your present company, you work closely with a lot of across government sectors, right, as well as with businesses.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the key trends that you're hearing that is likely to be the most focus in 2021?
Yeah. So the time could have not been better when we come discussing NEC, which is a global conglomerate and deals with all technology and different areas, right, where technology can add value. If you look at the slogan which NEC has, right, orchestrating the better tomorrow, right? So that's what we are here for. And that's when we are in India, we can add a lot of value working with government, co-creating the new stuff, the whole expansion of digital journey, which government has started, whether you say is the safer cities, the smart cities, right? The whole citizenship, the governance aspect of digital governance, right? So NEC is actually have executed a lot of good projects with government, partnership with government, whether you name it, the whole submarine project around laying down the underwater sea cable and providing that bandwidth capacity linking India to Andamans. All the project was end-to-end driven by NEC. So you take that, the number of smart cities right now we are working on, the whole technology around facial recognition, how we are working on 5G. So I think these are some of the important areas, and government is our key customers right now. Few of the learnings when you are dealing with government, I think, and again, I had experience in NEC and I had experience when I was with GE, right? Working with government can be very rewarding and very challenging. Let me be very honest, right? Until you are not strong in your processes, your framework, your documentation, you will always see a fail, right? And if you have those things set very well, and you follow those, you are clear on your deliverables, documentation, and the process, I think you then start enjoying working with government. And we within NEC also see when we have different BUs operating in a different way and connecting with government, some BUs do a pretty good job, and some BU we see there is some challenges, right? And that's where our effort is, that how do we streamline this processes, create a framework when we are discussing with government, when we are creating new opportunities with them, so that we can bring out the right value of NEC. So I think we are very excited, and we are, as I said, doing multiple projects with government. They are going very well, creating a lot of value, and that's what we're thinking with COVID. Those things are going to expand very fast, and that's when we feel NEC as a global leader and in some of these ICT technologies will play a very critical role partnering with the government.
So as you said that the governance and the structure, everything has to be placed while you're working with the government. So as a CFO, in terms of the governance part, what are the major things that you play? I mean, how do you think a CFO can play a part in the data governance and in the entire governance and corporate governance section?
So I think as a CFO, I think, and CFO is in the much better position, right, to understand all the risk from organization perspective, right? Definitely partnering with the business is one aspect, but also mitigating some of these risks and setting up the system and processes are very critical. But for that, you need to really understand, have a very close working relationship with each of the business units, the operating units, the functions, I will say IT, HR, supply chain. So as a CFO, you then get a complete link, and you can help to set up those processes. Digitization is very important thing. Simplification is very important aspect, but being first able to appraise the risk and then trying to put those systems which will mitigate the risk. I think that's a major role of CFO can play in these sub situations where data governance is very important, whether data integrity is very important, where putting the processes like an understanding if you're signing a contract or if you're getting into a partnership model, what are you signing for, right? And are you risk covered? Is your partner risk covered? So those things, if you have a system as a finance professional, as a CFO, if you put those controls, checks and balances in place, it helps the overall organization.
Right, right. So what are the kind of, do you use external tools for your risk management, or, you guys develop something on your own? What kind of tools or usage that you do to, manage your data governance piece?
It's a combination of both internal and external tools. We do have external tools where we think they are more effective and can be utilized. And being an IT company and a company which creates a lot of new IPs, we also create our own, right? So it's a combination approach which we use. The whole approach is we go for the best, whatever is the best available. If we can do it in-house, we will do it. If we have outside, we will do it. What is important is creating that framework, right? And that's what we definitely do it well, to ensure that we have those framework in place where all the systems can work together, and those rigor from tracking those risks, ensuring the compliance is not getting overdue, all those things. So we put a lot of focus on that.
Right. I will come back to the pandemic situation in 2020, and you had a lot of live projects going on in the infrastructure with government. So how did you manage, to manage all of those and, manage the timeline of delivery? So how has been the, entire managing the situation in 2020 was?
I think 2020 and the whole COVID atmosphere, right? I will say it was a challenge, but it was also a boom, right? Because then that's how you understood what can be the different way in which you can manage your business, your deliverables, your customer expectation, right? So it's not always necessary that you have to be in front of your customer. Technology is going to be a very big role, and that's what we are trying to do, right? So if you look at a lot of areas we play in, those things are actually helping not only us, but as a business, but also a lot of the other businesses to operate business more independently. It should not be a person dependent process, but it should be more a person dependent deliverable, which should be more a system process driven things, right? So that's how we have adapted, right? We had created our BCP plan, which was backed with all the clear understanding of how A, B, and C will work. If this happens, this will be our game plan. If it doesn't happen, so that's how we as a team first came together, understood what are the areas, what are the challenges we will have, creating a plan for that. And in all of these, if you see the whole framework, customer was the first, right? That the whole approach of customer first and understanding what customer need is, that's how we have been able to navigate it. Again, it's just to give you an example of our project in Andamans, right? The Canny project, which we've executed, it was all executed during the COVID period, right? And it was one of the most successful projects. Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi has inaugurated that, and he actually has appreciated the project. So that's an example, right? That even if the COVID is there, if you plan it well, you use digitization tools, you use delegation, you use the right framework, you still can deliver all the things which is expected from you, right? So those are some of the learnings I will say from this whole COVID scenario. First is think about digitization. Investing is in your technology will be very critical for the organizations. We have done it. We are continuously expanding the way we are working. Even if I'm saying initial 1-2 months were hiccups, but after that, once we understood how do we model this whole framework, I think now people are very comfortable, whether you're at home, whether you're in office. It actually doesn't matter a lot. It's all about the way we have planned it and put the systems in place.
Correct. It is definitely a year of learnings for all of us.
Yeah.
So much learning. Just wanted to understand, would you like to give some quick tips, to the finance professional on how to improve financial and operational performance of an organization, especially, keeping COVID-19 and 2020 as a year in the background?
Yeah. So for sure. And again, everybody has got his own learning, as I said, right? When we navigated through this period, learning from NEC's perspective, I will say is keep reviewing your tools, systems, processes, and have a plan in place, right? Because there's no right time to invest in these things, correct? And you never know that when will this be used. But think little ahead and be little ahead in the game, right? And be ready for some of these challenges which can come in as you go in future. So that's why I was telling before also, the whole business continuity plan becomes very important, right? Because in some scenarios you may think nothing will happen. Nobody would have predicted COVID will come, right, a year back, and there will be so much disruption and new things which will come up. But that's how these things has taught us. So my advice to the professionals, whether in finance or from operations side, is just keep investing in new technology. Just be ready for new stuff. And the most important thing COVID has teached us is there's nothing permanent, right? There's no the restriction, or there's no constraint that this thing can be only done in one way. So just be open for taking new ideas, new opportunities, and the early you adopt those. And again, I'm re-emphasizing the digital technologies, the new age technologies, the new areas, the better it will be for you and the business, right? You will be more equipped, you will be little ahead in game in terms of adapting those, and which has got its own productivity benefits, which you get from like people can avoid traveling. So there's a lot of savings around that, which they become very productive, right? So the advice will be just be ready for the new technology. I will say have a courage to be the first. Don't just wait at the last, and have some of the business continuity plan in place, because those are need of the hour, and you don't know when will you have to use them.
So in 2021, what are the learnings that you had in 2020 that you want to take ahead with you, and if there's any regret or anything that you don't want to repeat in 2021 that you have learned in 2020?
So again, from my personal learning perspective is, I will say 2021 has taught me how do you become more humble, more agile, correct? In some cases we have the experiences where we have not shown these, we have burned our hands, correct? So always remaining agile, correct? Just have a plan in place, and again having two options, plan A and plan B, is always good, because if you're dependent only on one plan and if it doesn't work out, then it will be a problem. So the message I'm giving is, in you're looking from the business perspective also, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Keep diversifying your business segments as much as you can. Like for NEC, if you know, we play in multiple different segments, and I was giving example, we play in smart cities, we have in transportation, we also have got solutions in logistics, telecom. So the way we have navigated through this is we have invested during this COVID time also, right, a lot on keep building the new products, keep building the new technology, keep investing in the people, right? And that's how we have been able to come through. And the learning again is, when you don't do that, you will see some of the challenges what we have seen as the COVID has approached us.
Thank you so much, Mayank. It was really an insightful, interaction. I'm sure our viewers will, benefit a lot from this. All the best to you, and once again, a very, thank you.
Thanks a lot, Naina. I think very good connecting with you, and hope you have good rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Orchestrating a brighter world, NEC.